Fight Time Network. Welcome back to Fight Time Network. We got Lee here. What's going on, Lee? What are you doing?
What's happening? It's that time again. We are so close to the return.
Coming up this Saturday, UFC Fight Night in the Apex. We're going to have Mackenzie Dern and Ribas headlining this show. We're going to go through the prelims real quick, up through the main card. Starting out the first UFC Fight Night of the year is going to be Nurullo Alayev versus Joe Solecki. Lee, what's up?
Haha. Well, Alayev, he is coming in with the reputation as one of a top-notch grappler. He was originally expected to take on Ashmus, and when you looked at it, Ashmus has had great performances his past two fights. He got that win against Trevor Peek. Everybody expected Trevor Peek to be the victor in that. Ashmus has pulled out, and Alayev has got a last-minute opponent in Joe Solecki, and Alayev's going to out-grapple Solecki. Solecki will fight anybody, any day, any time. I will give him that, but it's Alayev. This is his fight to lose.
I'm going to agree with you there. I was really looking forward to Ashmus versus Alayev. It was a great matchup for him. It would have been a bigger step up, that's for sure. But thank God they found him a fight with Joe Solecki, stepping in short notice.
Don't get slammed on your head, Solecki. one of those is enough to career. The last fight there where he got slammed up on his head.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember that one, not going to lie.
Don't let that happen a second time.
Well, hopefully they start out this card with fireworks. And moving on, we got Fatima Klein versus Victoria Gudakova. This is actually a really good matchup here. It could go either way. I know one-sided. It's looking really bad on the odds, but I feel like this is great competition for both these girls. Yeah, her coming in at 8-1. Fatima Klein coming in at 6.
Yeah, Dudakova. Yeah, Dudakova seemed to have some issues in her last fight. She was heavily favored and was winning about the first half of it. But something happened in the midst of that fight, whether it was a cardio deal, and she ended up just getting overpowered by Sam Hughes, getting backed up constantly. Fatima Klein is a fabulous grappler. A lot of people had her set to beat Jasmine Jasudavicius. However, Jasmine came through with the win on that particular one, and Fatima Klein's looking to get one back and establish the reputation that we thought we were all going to see in her UFC debut. So I think at 8-1, the odds definitely reflect what the result will be, and it's going to be Klein putting on the grappling clinic we thought we'd see last time.
I really feel like it's going to be a little closer here. When you got 8-1 versus 6-1, yeah, whatever records matter, but Fatima Klein, I think she's going to be a lot harder to get into on takedowns. Dudakova is a really ground game 2 girl also, averaging almost 3 takedowns a fight. I know it's only 36%. She's going to be coming defensively. And while standing, if she can't get in,
it's
really good in the pocket and throwing.
Yeah. Perhaps it's just that recency bias where they see that sort of fall-off performance of Dudakova, where Fatima Klein was out to get Jasmine. Unfortunately, Jasmine is just a bigger girl than her and really overpowered out strength and really played that into her grappling game, and it didn't go Fatima's way. It's probably a lot closer than what the odds reflect, but ultimately I think Klein's going to be able to set her grappling, especially if it goes into later rounds.
You're looking to get, a big dog this weekend. She is coming in at plus 550 right now. Dudakova is. I mean, I feel like it's a little one-sided just because of her last loss to Hughes. It's going to be a lot closer, and I'd say it's definitely going in decision. But we'll see. Plus 550, that's a heck of a shot if you're wanting to take a little shot in the dark this weekend. All right, moving on. This is going to be...
Your track record at calling dogs is...
It happens.
Little bit of a time delay. No, I was going to say your track record of calling dogs is absolutely fabulous. It is one remarkable. If there is a guy that can call an underdog in a UFC fight, it is Brendan sitting right there.
Yeah, I have my fair share of hot hats in my day. But you never know. Everybody usually thinks I'm crazy. Some of them hit, some of them don't. But when they hit, they hit.
Yeah, until that money hits your bank account.
True that. Yeah. I feel you. I feel you. All right, moving on here. We got Magomed Gatiasilov versus Bruno Lopez. Magomed coming in with an undefeated record, 9-0 versus Bruno Lopez. This was also another switch around last second, correct? No, that's Preston Parsons' fight. Versus Bruno Lopez coming in at 13-1. Both of them 31 years old. Both of them 6'2", 1 inch reach to Gatiasilov. What you thinking on this one, Lee?
You know what? I ended up actually watching a lot of tape on this in regards to it. Really caught my interest. You got Godzi Lotsov coming up. He's actually a well-seasoned kickboxer that can grapple. So you watch his past two fights, you watch his Dana White Contender Series fight, and then his UFC debut. You see him take these big, heavy hitters that have knocked out their last 7 opponents, and he drags them into a kickboxing point fight and ultimately drags them down to later rounds and gets that decision victory. When the striking's not working for him, he can go for the takedowns. And actually, even in the first round of his UFC debut, he lost his leg. Like, he got kicked in the calf real hard right in the first round and was able to come back with the grappling and still secure the decision. Lopez is just going to try to swing for the fences.
Yep.
Knock you out. Lopez, from what I see in his tape, he gets hit a lot. He's coming off his second crack at the Dana White Contender Series. The first one he did lose. The second one he was able to win in the second round, but he was getting hit. He was getting beat up before he was able to land a devastating blow of its own. I mean, it's light heavyweight. Knockouts can happen in a blink of an eye, but I don't think he wants to take as many shots from Gotsialayev as he did in his last fight.
I'm gonna 100%
fight, and I think Gotsialayev gets this by decision. I think he's going to drag Lopez into that deep water, and ultimately, if it's not going his way on the feet, he does a lot great on the ground as well.
Yeah, I was really thinking maybe Gotsialayev would finish him, but I don't know. Bruno Lopez, he took the storm last fight. Like you said, he didn't want to be getting hit that hard, that often, and he still weathered through it. I mean, it wasn't a finish, right? No. Sanzanini. Oh, I'm talking about Rivera.
Gotsialayev, no, he didn't finish. He was able to get that. No, Lopez in the Contender Series. No, he got the finish. He got the second round knockout.
Yep. So this is going to be a good card of some up and comers. Get off before the next UFC pay-per-view. Come on, Caputa.
That'll be a banger. The under 2.5 is minus 160, which is a great unit and a half back after your bet.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I want to see what the over 1.5 is on that, because I think that'll be where the money foot is. It'll probably be just about even on the over 1.5, and given Gotsilayev's track record, he'll probably drag it that far before Lopez gets tired, and that's ultimately when we can see a finish.
If I was to go, I would see Magomed 2 or 3. I actually will be surprised if it goes. Just like you said, Bruno, he hasn't faced a full kickboxer like Gotzi is, like you've said. Being over strike, and he's averaging 5.5 takedowns a fight. God bless. Pretty one-sided affair. We'll see here. Alrighty, moving on. This is a banger.
Yeah.
I'm ready for this one. Thiago Moises, 18-8 versus Trey Ogden, 18-6, Lee. What a good matchup this early in the year. Oh, fuck. Oh, I skipped some fights here. Whatever, we'll still rock with it.
Yeah, it's such a banger. It probably just jumps off the card.
Yeah, I saw him. I was like, I'm ready to talk about it. So you got Moises coming in minus 192. Trey Ogden, the underdog, at a plus 160. This is going to be a very tight fight, Lee. I know Thiago Moises is only 29, but I feel like Ogden isn't going to back down from him. But we shall see.
Absolutely not. And Ogden is coming off of some fabulous wins. He's got a win over Zellhuber. He beat Kurt Habula. He beat that other Robazan, I believe his name was. All guys with a lot of hype behind him, and he derailed their train. Diego Moises is coming off a lost decline. And also, it's been kind of, a little bit rough. He's got a couple of wins in there. None of them as big of the names as Ogden's coming off. None of them really had that hype. So I think that's what Trey Ogden does. He comes in as the underdog. He derails hype trains. And I think this weekend will be no different for him.
Good call, Lee. That would be a good one. Plus 160, Trey Ogden will be coming in. Man, this is such a good one. I'm on the fence, man. Oh, I just don't see. This is such a good matchup. Both of them can get takedowns. Both of them can defend takedowns. Trey Ogden has 100% takedown defense. That's impressive. Both throwing around three
that is
strikes per
something
minute. They
else, man.
both can stand, man. It's just I just don't see where one. Because if we get Thiago, ain't nobody.
Yeah.
The one that reminds you of like Aldo-ish style, just kind of mentality. We've seen that a couple times in his career. So it's, oh man, he's a little shorter.
Just comes in there.
I'm going to say it's going to go to decision, but I just say it goes the distance is what I'm going to keep with here.
Yeah. Ultimately, I mean, they're going to be banging, but both those guys have been in there for wars before. Always want to keep it standing with both of them. That seems to be the prerogative. It's going to be a fan friendly fight. That's for certain.
Yeah. All right, kicking back to a couple of fights I accidentally skipped by, but here's another good underdog play. Would have already got it in. Ernesta Karakite versus Nicole Cagliari. Cagliari coming at 8-2. Ernesta 5-1. They're both young, 28, 26. I just think what's going to maybe come into play here is one's 5'8", one's 5'2". There's almost a 10-inch difference in their reach also. I'm going to actually take
Cagliari's record is crazy. Cagliari's record is crazy. She hasn't had a decision since like 2016. It's either been decided for her or she's went out and gotten that victory. I mean, for the women's division in that weight class, that's absolutely amazing to be on that much of a run in finishes since for 8 years.
I agree, and for some reason, it's a lopsided affair. I really don't know what's giving Karakite a minus 298 here, and Cagliari at a plus 240. I mean, she's coming off a loss to Barbosa also. Like, maybe other people are seeing a different way of how she lost that fight. I just don't understand why it's so lopsided. Probably because she's short. Old girl's landing 8 strikes.
UFC date.
But Cagliari has 6 takedown average. And Karakite's loss to Barbosa
UFC date
struggled with wrestling.
Yeah, and it's her UFC debut. Karakite has sort of got past those jitters. She does have the experience. She did get that great armbar off the Contender Series. She has fought a little bit more names that have been around from what I can see on the regional scene. It's definitely closer than what the odds say. And Cagliari as an underdog bet isn't bad considering her finishing rate.
Right. And I mean, there's no way Karakite is the first tall opponent. I'm not going to go through heights and looking. But, I mean, she's only 5'2". It says at 125, too, so that's a big game changer. I don't know. I'm going to take Cagliari just because Karakite just couldn't really defend the takedown very well against Barbosa, and that is Cagliari's main game. What's she going to do when she's throwing submissions at her left and right? What we got here? I think I looked earlier. Submission average is 6.3 in 15 minutes. So she's going to be throwing up
6.3.
Back ends up messing up. She's still going to be coming off her back and attacking her. And I think she's going to get the best of Ernesta. I'm taking her plus money. What I say? Plus 240. and that's where I'm going to sit on this one.
The underdog king.
Yeah, plus 240 right now. I think when the decision might come out, I think I might give decision. They'll sprinkle a little bit. It'll probably be around plus 400, 500.
Yeah.
A little extra on top of it. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I end up putting $125 down on Kitajew.
Parlay together both Brendan's dogs. You are in a great seat.
See, we shall see. All right, and this one actually coming up next
Haha.
was a reschedule on the card. Preston Parsons, 11-5, based on Jacoby Smith. Parsons was supposed to fight Andreas Gustafsson, 11-2. It was a one-sided affair than now. Preston Parsons is even bigger underdog to Jacoby Smith.
Yeah. They are giving a lot of hype to Jacoby Smith coming in off of his contender series win. He beat the actually fellow Canadian on my end over in Nova Scotia, Christian Savoie. And I believe he got a finish in that fight. If I'm not mistaken, it was in the second round. And ultimately, yeah, they are putting a lot of hype on that finish. Yeah, that's right. Round 2, ground and pound.
Yep.
So yeah, they are putting a lot of hype on him.
3 straight finishes before
Coming in off of that finish against the experience that he has had. And I mean, Preston Parsons has been up against it. He's fought some experience. I mean, he just lost to Oban Elliott, but brought Elliott to a decision. Matthew Selmesberger, he's got a win over him, which was impressive at the time that he did it. And then he's fought a lot of, killers. Daniel Rodriguez is in there, Trayvon Giles. So, yeah,
Trevor Giles,
I don't see how they're expecting him to lose by that much off of a guy making his UFC debut 8 fights in.
I'm looking at here, Parsons really just goes to deep water. So it's really just how quick do you think Jacoby Smith can get him possibly out of there? Because I mean, ground and pound round 2, 3,
Yeah.
2 round 1 finishes before that. I don't know. That's just a hard one to do because I mean, you got him going back in Fury FC was his last decision, 81 back in 2023. He's been fighting a lot since. I mean, 2 straight round 1 knockouts, ground and pound round 2. I didn't go back. I should have went back and watched that fight against Savoy, but I'll take Jacoby here. I'll ride that.
Wow, no, they're really doing Preston Parsons dirty.
They really are.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Parlay those 3 dogs together. You'll be sitting hefty.
Oh boy, I am not a financial. Do not take my financial advice. But if you want to tag on the train, I am not a financial advisor. Alrighty here. Moving on.
We're fight analysts.
Right. Moving on to Marco Tulio Ihor Potiera. Oh, fights are starting to get good here coming up on the featured bout. 12-1, Marco coming in. Potiera 20-7. Tulio's first fight in the UFC. What you thinking on this one, Lee?
Yeah, Tulio's, I think the odds is right in on this. Ultimately, he's got a great finishing rate. Tulio, I believe he's got all subs sort of coming in. He was on the high, if I'm right on that. My bad. Is knockout. So he's got one of the highest knockout rates for this card. I think he's like going on like about 4 or 5 straight with 1 decision in there. So I certainly think he has the ability to finish this. I think Pretoria is hit quite a bit of a skid, and I really don't think Tulio is the one that's going to be pulling out of it. I mean, he's coming off the losses to Cesar Almeida, Michel Pereira, that round 1 guillotine that he just grabbed his head hard on that. Bellato, and then Carlos Alberg. So he's basically 4 losses in his last 5. Tulio is really up on the rise, finishing people left, right, and center. So I think the odds reflect this one. Certainly Tulio is going to come out the victor.
I'll agree with you. I don't 100% seeing him walking straight through Potiera, but I think he'll push it to a decision. I mean, he stayed in there. Yeah. He's been rough. He's even had Alberg. Oof. Potiera 5 fights ago.
Yeah, they have not done him any favors.
Have not done him any favors, my friend. Oh man. And Almeida. God bless him. Hopefully he can get his head right and put a good fight together. And you never know, he might surprise Tulio. He's coming in, but unfortunately, I do not believe so that he has the skills. This is kind of like his make or break. He might get cut after this soon. It is what it is. Tulio by decision on my part. Moving on to the featured bout, UFC Fight Night at the Apex. Jose Johnson versus Felipe Bunez. I'm actually surprised this made it. There's been a couple other. I would rather see Moises and Treyarch didn't hit this featured main card, truthfully. But this is going to be a
Yeah,
real fight here. Felipe Bunez coming at 35 now, so that's not going to help him.
yeah.
And he's a shorter opponent. Oh man, I really feel like Johnson's just going to be able to keep him at bay and piece him up.
Yeah, and he's coming off that finish to being finished by Joshua Van. Right after Joshua Van was just sort of steamrolling his debut in the UFC, came off the Contender Series, and ultimately is the next huge prospect in the
Yeah,
UFC. So they really haven't been doing Bunez any favors there. Johnson too has sort of the inconsistent record as well. However, I think the odds certainly reflect those. Like you said, the age and the miles on Bunez and the wars that he's been in is ultimately going to be the declining factor that we see. And Johnson is ultimately going to come up. He's going to find a way to win. The decision I could see being very likely.
I will agree with you. I think his takedown defense is that's the only thing you got to worry about here is Bunez taking him down. Any strikes landed per minute. Really, if you look at the stats, Bunez is actually looks pretty good on paper. But we know MMA math never adds up. So what we got here?
Yeah, it's just, yeah. You look at the numbers and it's like, well, how do those reflect the odds? I noticed that as well earlier there too. I was thinking of maybe just putting a little bit on Bunez. He does have a good argument to ultimately win these. Like both guys haven't really had the most consistent of records. I mean, there's been one win here, a couple of strings of losses. Both guys have been fighting absolute dogs. I think Johnson's got that loss to Damone Blackshear, and there was a couple of hard hitters that he had to experience. So it's gonna be. I think this one turns out to be a banger. I think we actually have the potential fight tonight with these guys.
I'll take it with you. I'm not even gonna make a prediction because this one is up in the air, my friend.
Sit
I think
back
it'll
and
live up the hype. They
enjoy.
wouldn't give it this to the featured bout if it was not gonna get the hype. It's gonna be a banger, I believe. I'll agree with you. And it'll surprise all of us, baby. Because that's how we
Ooh.
roll here at Fight Time Network.